Welcome or welcome back to the Rookery Rose. I'm excited to invite you in to share in my restoration and decoration projects of this 1875 Victorian home. Hi everyone, this is Susan at the Rookery Rose. It's early spring, and in this video I'd like to share with you a brief tour of the gardens, some seedlings that I've started in the garden room, and a couple DIY projects. To begin with today, I'd like to share with you the garden room, which is located off the kitchen at the back of the house. This area had previously been a screened-in porch, but the owners just before us ripped out the porch enclosure, and it was in pretty bad disrepair. The floor was painted several times, but it was all peeling. I had to paint the porch railing, and then I refinished the floor by sanding it, stripping a lot of the paint, and then I used an oil finish just to give it a nice clean look. And then we had some cedar porch enclosures installed to create the garden room. This video shows you entering the garden room off the back of the kitchen. I don't have it set up exactly as I would like it to be, but for now I have some shelving in there, and you can see from the window here, this is what the tea room windows were like before I finished those. So I have a lot of painting left to do in this area, but I at least had a spot where I could put some shelves up and start some seedlings. Around the corner here, where you see shadow going, is where I have my little potting bench. So it's a great little garden room. It's just that I haven't gotten really to set it up completely as I want it to. There are a lot of projects going on, but it's set up now, at least that I got some seedlings started. And as you can see, Shadow enjoys it quite a lot. Off this window, you can also see the back porch, which I need to refinish. And from this angle, again, you see the shelves that I put up. I'm not sure if they're going to stay there, but for now, they serve the purpose of keeping the seedlings facing the south and getting enough sun. And the enclosure itself has screens and glass. Right now I've got both in. If it gets too hot in the summer, I can remove the glass inserts and just have the screens. So hopefully I'll be doing more projects in this area, and I can share those with you as I get this room completed. The first set of seedlings I planted was for the vegetable garden. I've got some tomatoes, cucumbers, basil, oregano, and everything seems to be coming up. It's been really cold here this spring. This garden room stays about 10 degrees warmer than outside, and it's only 40 degrees out today, so that's not that warm. Here I have some little tiny seedlings popping up. These are Snapdragons. I love Snapdragons, so I thought I would try to grow those from seed. I've never done that before, but I figured I'd give it a try. I'm encouraged by these little guys popping up, but they're really tiny. So I'm keeping them in their little greenhouses for now. Again, there's some more of the Snapdragon seedlings that I've got coming up. Up here I have hollyhocks, which I love because to me they're the quintessential Victorian country cottage garden flower, and I hope those do well. And then here I have a little tray full of lemon balm, which I don't know if you can see them, but there are some tiny little spots of green coming up, so I'm excited to see if those will come out. I also wanted to plant some medicinal plants, and because I wasn't too sure about how well I would do with planting these from seed, I actually bought little seedlings from medicinal seed company. And I'll link that in the description for you in case you're interested. Here I have 2 types of vervain. I've got rue, some white sage, some mugwort, and sweetgrass. And then here is a climbing rose, a New Dawn climbing rose. I used to have this several houses ago, and I love the way the flowers look and smell. It's an heirloom rose. Here is a failed attempt at drying some daffodils. I normally, when I dry daffodils, I keep them in a vase with water, and I just let them dry naturally. For some reason, I decided to take these out of the water, and you can see what happened. They didn't keep their form. They kept their color, but they didn't keep their form. They kind of shriveled up. They kind of got limp. So I'm going to show you in a minute a better way to dry daffodils. I do love drying daffodils because when you keep their form, they look so pretty on top of other potpourri or as a decoration anywhere. And they last really long time too, but these little guys just didn't quite make it. So I do have one I'm going to show you that I did where I kept after I cut the flower, I kept it in the water, and this is the one here. It's in the water, and you can see that it's kept its form. It's drying out, but it's completely kept its form. So that's what I'm going to do. I have some more that we just had a windstorm overnight, and I have some that are drooping, so I'm going to cut those and put those into water and dry them. So let's head back outside, and I'm going to show you what state the garden is in right now. It's early spring, so there's not much happening, but I wanted to at least give you an idea of where things are at. If you watched the tea room video, you may have seen that there was nothing here before. We just had this row of arborvitae along the neighbor's side of the side yard by the neighbor, and these cherry laurels put in as a hedge between the front and backyards because there was nothing there before. This pathway leads past the tea room. I'm hoping to put up an arbor here and put that New Dawn rose onto that arbor. And then this little area is the only shady area, which faces northeast. So I've planted some lily of the valley into here, and you'll see there's some of these granite stones everywhere around the foundation. So I'm keeping those there maybe to put some potted plants. And I potted up some dahlias, which I haven't grown in decades. So I'm hoping those will come up. I'm trying them again this year. Around the side, which is the turret of the Victorian house, are some heirloom roses. Last year, my neighbor thought I had missed them because they bloomed early, and then we weren't in the house yet, but I was able to coax them by fertilizing them and keeping them watered, and then they ended up blooming again and blooming through November. So I'm hoping I have luck with them again this year. They seem to be coming in really well as they're just starting to bud out. I did have to transplant a couple of them. There were a couple that were around the other side of the house. This is one of them. It was right by the driveway, and it got hit by the plow during the winter. So I had it transplanted here, and it seems to be coming up. These tall trees also border the side by our neighbor, and they've got beautiful white flowers on them right now. But I snipped some of the flowers, and they smell awful. I'm not sure what kind of tree this is, but it has some kind of fragrance that maybe wards off bugs or something. I don't know. Heading back around the front of the house from the tea room, there's that hedge there that was there from previous owners, and I'm leaving that for now. But along the front, I took out a lot of shrubs that just weren't growing well, and I've put in some hydrangea and white roses to give it a whole appearance of the front of the house, that more cottage look. This is the rose. It's a white rose, so we'll have the hydrangea hopefully and these beautiful white roses to make everything look like a nice cottage garden at the front of the house once it all comes in. I did also, I was late planting my daffodils. I should have planted them in the fall. I never got them in. So I planted them this year, and this is what happens. You'll see some more on the other side of the porch. They're coming up, but they're a little bit stunted in their growth. So on the other side of the front porch, we also have the hydrangea and this white rose. And these are the daffodils here. You can see it's trying to come up. They're all coming up and blooming, but they're tiny. So hopefully they'll get enough nutrients this year and they'll come back stronger next year. And then this just continues around the front to the end of the porch in the front. And at the corner here, again, there's some of that granite that I've got to move. And over here, I just planted in 2 peonies to try to fill in with a little bit of color and flower for the early spring or the later spring. These hydrangea were here when we got here. And this is another Heirloom Rose. It's a climber. It was really pretty last year. I'm hoping it comes back again as well this year. And there were some randomly planted daffodils around the yard. We put in some more hydrangea along here to cover up and grow in front of where the air conditioning units are. But some of them don't seem to be coming up yet, although it's been cold, so I'm not sure. So I'm going to keep an eye on those. This one here was beautiful last year. It goes up right under the window of what's to be my apothecary. And I'm hoping that comes back. These are more of the ones that we had put in the fall, and they don't seem to be coming up yet. I also need to have put mulch down in all these beds. There was nothing really here. And then these 2 hydrangea we had transplanted from another area of the garden, and they seem to be doing well. Around this side, the driveway leads back around the house to the old carriage house. This is another shrub I had transplanted from a different area to kind of fill in an empty spot there. We have this... I guess it's a maple, Japanese maple tree. It's like a miniature tree. And then this whole plot or garden area last year when we bought the house was full of ivy and it was killing everything. I think there were a lot more perennials in this garden, but we had to get all the ivy out because it had killed so much. This climbing rose last year was really pretty, and I'm hoping that will come in as well. And then from around this side, this is the side of the carriage house. There were these 2 raised bed gardens here already from a previous owner. So I had them cleaned out. I had to replant some little shrubs that were growing in there. And there was a huge butterfly bush in one of them, so I transplanted that. And then this is the other side of that garden berm, which I'm going to have to do a lot of work on, but I don't know how much I'll get done this year. This is the bird bath, which was very active early on before spring, but now it varies depending on the weather. I also put this pathway from the patio down into the lawn in the backyard, and that big tall bush is the butterfly bush that I moved from the back raised bed garden. So let's head back inside and I'll show you a project I worked on to bring more of a spring-like look to the front of the house. I purchased this basket recently from David Christopher's. They come in actually a bundle of 2, and this one is the smaller of the 2. It's really nice looking. I guess it's like a vine basket, and I thought I would decorate that for spring. I had a bunch of different faux florals that I had gotten during the spring sales at Michael's and Hobby Lobby, and some of this pansy, yellow pansies, and also these yellow, I don't know, they look like clovers, but they're yellow. This is a nice leafy, looks like a lamb's ear or a sage. And then also I had this one that kind of hangs down, and I thought that would look nice coming down the front of the basket. From David Christopher's, I also purchased these carrots. They're like a twine wound carrot with the little greenery, and I thought that would be cute for Easter time, and then I can just pluck them out after Easter and leave the rest of the greenery and flowers. So this basket was really easy to do. I like simple projects, so I didn't have to put anything inside, and no floral foam, no glue. I just basically started with the greenery that was at the back, and then the pansies, and they fit right into the vine that's making up the basket, so they hold in there really nicely. And just to make it look more natural, I kind of intertwined the pansies with the greenery. I should have had something holding the basket up, but I was trying to hold it up and arrange the flowers at the same time. Then I decided to put the white flowers with the little yellow centers on the left side. Just kind of make it look like a natural outdoor bouquet in the basket. And then for the front, this is the greenery that hangs down. And then I'm going to show you here, just to make it stay a little bit tighter to the basket, I just bent some of the fronds so that they were closer up and tight against the basket. So like I said before, this was a very simple, easy, quick, decorative item. I plan on hanging it on the front door, and as you can see, just everything is on a wire, so you can just bend things and shape them the way you'd like and spend as much time as you'd like rearranging. Pulling a few flowers forward, a few to the side, to the back, just making it look a little more natural and mixed together. I do add a ribbon to this when I hang it, and I'll show you the finished piece. Here I'm adding in those yellow little flowers to the right side, and I just think it looks really lush. It's definitely making everything look more spring-like than what it looks like outside in actuality, so I'm happy to be able to create this and put it up on my door. The little carrots on the sticks are going in the middle, and I'm going to try to blend them in as well with the greenery. And that's, as simple as you want it, or you could make it even if you want to add other things. If you have a little bunny rabbit, you could add it in there. If you have some nests, you could add them. It's really to your own liking, and that's what I enjoy, is making arrangements and just kind of going with them. I didn't have any plan. I just picked a few things and saw how they worked together. This is a little bit closer up so you can see how everything is kind of intermingled together, and then this kind of a swag-like greenery is hanging down. And there's Shadow. He had climbed in behind while I was working on it. So here is the finished piece on the door. I like the way it's a little bit off-centered, and it kind of goes in a diagonal from the left to the right down the basket. That ribbon was, again, something I had saved. I always save my ribbons. This piece up top I used to hang was probably from some kind of packaging. And I think the silver ribbon was also from some packaging. I basically just tied a bow and then tied another bow to make it look like a double bow. And here you see it from the other side. I think those little yellow flowers added a little extra something on that corner as well. And the carrots, I think, look cute and add some more color. And like I said, after Easter passes, I'll just take those out, and I can either put something else in or just kind of rearrange and fluff everything. And it's a nice alternative. Doing a basket like this is a great alternative to doing a wreath if that's something you're used to doing. I think it can be arranged in a bunch of different ways. Probably I'll keep it through the summer and just change out the flowers to something more summer-like. I also added these pillows to my front porch, and not much else because it's so cold out. I didn't want to have to worry about plants or flowers at this point. But that's why I think this basket really adds a nice touch until we can actually start planting things. So here is another arrangement I did, and honestly, I didn't film how I did this because it was super simple, even more simple than the basket. I had a bunch of things that I wanted to use for the tabletop. It was Easter Sunday, and I wanted a tablescape, and I literally only had 10 minutes to put something together. So I took that swag of greenery and a bunch of candlesticks. I had the nests, and I just had the moss bunnies. I think were purchased from Hobby Lobby. And I just nestled a bunny in each of the nests, put them atop a candlestick pillar. And I had the black and white candles are Mackenzie Childs, as well as those little black and white Capiz candle holders. So I thought they added a nice little contrast. And then those little nests with the eggs, I got those purchased those from David Christopher. I hope you enjoyed visiting with me during this early springtime and just getting an idea of what the garden looks like here. I am in zone 7A for gardening, and it's been, I think, extra cold this springtime. So I'm hoping it warms up soon. I look forward to sharing more projects with you as I get to work decorating this Victorian house. Thanks again for visiting, and have a great day.